Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're not just skimming the headlines, we're really tracing the connections, from breakthroughs in AI labs all the way to how brands are trying to connect with us.
Exactly. And there's some high-stakes stuff happening between the big players, too.
Right. We've got a really fascinating stack of sources here, and, well, our mission is to cut through that noise, find the critical insights, those aha moments.
And give you that shortcut to being really well-informed.
We'll dive into some groundbreaking open source models, stuff that's changing the economics of AI.
And then we'll pivot to how platforms are using AI for marketing, for content, in ways we really haven't seen before.
And yeah, like you said, a bit of that industry drama, too. We'll connect the dots.
Explain why it matters to you, not just the what.
Okay, let's unpack this. Get ready. This might change how you see the AI landscape. So first up, and this one I found pretty surprising. It's massive news from this Chinese AI startup, MiniMax.
Ah, yes, MiniMax.
They've just released a new open source large language model, MiniMax-M1, and it's really shaking things up. Two main things stand out.
Okay.
A colossal 1 million token context window and incredibly efficient training.
Right, that context window. 1 million tokens. Let's pause on that.
Yeah, maybe explain tokens quickly.
Sure. Tokens are just the basic units AI models read words, parts of words, punctuation. So the context window is like how much text it can remember or process at once. It's working memory, sort of.
Okay, so 1 million tokens. How big is that, really?
Well, think about OpenAI's GPT-4o. That's got 128,000 tokens, which is already pretty good, like a whole novel's worth of info.
Right.
MiniMax-M1 at 1 million. That could handle, I don't know, a small book collection, a whole series maybe, all in one go.
Wow, that's a huge leap.
It's a massive leap for anything needing long conversations or processing huge documents.
And it puts it up there with, like, Google's Gemini 2.5 Pro, right? They're at 1 million, too.
That's exactly. Gemini's there and apparently working on 2 million. So yeah, the race for bigger context windows is definitely heating up.
Okay, so huge context window.
Yeah.
Check. But you said efficiency was the other part. This is where it gets really interesting, you mentioned.
This is, I think, the real story here. MiniMax-M1 is completely open source. Apache 2.0 license. Meaning businesses, developers, anyone can take it, use it commercially, modify it, no fees, no restrictions. That alone is a huge deal for avoiding getting locked into one vendor.
Okay, that's big for flexibility.
But then you look at the training cost. MiniMax says they trained this M1 model for a total cost of just $534,700.
Wait, hang on. Just over $500,000?
Yeah.
For a 1 million token model, that sounds incredibly low.
It is incredibly low. I mean, compare it. DeepSeek R1, another big open source model, cost around $5 to $6 million.
Okay.
And OpenAI's GPT-4, which is, 2 years old now? Reports say that cost over $100 million to train.
So MiniMax did it for a tiny fraction of that cost.
Right. They're crediting some clever engineering, a custom reinforcement learning algorithm they call CICO, and this hybrid attention design. Basically, it makes scaling up much more efficient. Bottom line is it uses way less computing power. They say only about 25% of the resources, the FLOPs, compared to DeepSeek R1 for similar tasks.
That's phenomenal. Makes it much cheaper to actually run, not just train.
Exactly. Yeah. More sustainable, more affordable at scale.
Okay, so it sounds almost too good to be true. Cheap to train, powerful.
Right.
What does this really mean for, someone listening, a developer, a business leader? It's more than just cost savings, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's much more profound. It's a huge step towards, democratizing this high-end AI.
How so?
Think about it. Before, building or even running models this powerful, that was really only feasible for the tech giants, right? Companies with massive budgets, tons of computing power.
Sure.
Now, something like MiniMax-M1, it means startups, smaller companies, maybe even individual researchers or developers.
Yeah.
They can actually access and deploy top-tier AI.
It lowers the barrier to entry dramatically.
Right. Exactly. It opens up innovation to a much wider group.
And it's not just theory, right? The performance is there.
Yeah, the benchmarks look pretty strong. It scored really well on a tough math competition benchmark, AME 2024. Good results in coding tests, handling long documents.
So it holds its own against other open models?
It seems to be ahead of many open-weight competitors, yeah. And it's closing the gap with the closed proprietary models, too.
So for, let's say, an engineering lead listening right now, what's the takeaway?
Lower operational costs, definitely. Less grunt work needed to prep huge documents for analysis. Easier integration with tools they already use, like VLLM or transformers. And it gives them a really capable foundation to build their own internal tools, like copilots or agent systems, without getting locked into a specific vendor. Plus, the potential for secure on-premise deployment is huge for regulated industries.
Right, keeping data in-house.
Yeah, it's a powerful, flexible option. It really could push the whole industry forward.
Okay, so that's the foundation. These increasingly powerful, accessible models. Now let's shift gears. How is this AI actually being used? Let's look at marketing, content creation. Seems like Reddit and TikTok are making big moves.
Yeah, definitely. Starting with Reddit coming out of ConLion, they announced some interesting AI tools.
Reddit, they call themselves the most human place on the internet, right?
That's their line.
Yeah.
And they're leaning into that. They've launched this thing called Reddit Community Intelligence.
Okay, what is that? Sounds marketing-y.
It kind of is.
Why?
But the idea is they're taking all those conversations, 22 billion posts and comments over 20 years.
Wow.
And using AI to structure that data, find insights specifically for marketers.
Turning conversations into market research, basically.
Very much. And they've got 2 early products using it. First is Reddit Insights. It's in alpha right now.
And that does.
It's an AI-powered social listening tool, gives brands real-time insights for planning campaigns, checking if their creative ideas resonate, understanding how people really feel about their brand, all based on Reddit chatter.
Any examples?
Yeah, Publicis tested it for clients like Hershey and Comcast. They used it to find new potential customer groups, track sentiment. The Publicis CEO basically said it revolutionized how they understand brand perception.
Okay, that makes sense. Tapping into that raw, honest feedback. What's the second product?
Conversation summary add-ons, also in alpha. This one's actually an ad feature.
Oh, interesting. How does it work?
It dynamically pulls positive comments from Reddit users about a product or brand and displays them right below the advertiser's ad creative.
So you see the ad, then you see real people saying good things about it.
Exactly. It's blending the ad with, like, organic social proof. Early tests look good. They saw a 19% higher click-through rate compared to standard ads.
That's significant.
Yeah. Brands like Jackbox Games and Lucid are trying it out. Lucid said it helps people get validation from people like them, using that community trust.
Very clever. Okay, so that's Reddit leveraging conversations. What about TikTok? They're big on creating content, right?
Right. And they're pushing hard on generative AI tools within their Symphony platform for marketers. 3 new features announced.
Okay, let's hear them.
First is image to video. You upload a static image, like a product shot, a mood board graphic, and the AI turns it into a short, engaging TikTok video. Adds dynamic backgrounds, effects, camera moves, the works.
So turning basic assets into actual TikToks automatically.
Pretty much. YOX, the fashion marketplace, they tested it, saw a 15% lower cost per add to cart. Think about it, saves potentially tons on video production.
Yeah, especially for smaller brands. That could be huge. What else?
Second, text to video. Simpler. You just type in a text prompt.
Like show a puppy playing in leaves.
Something like that, yeah. And it generates a short, maybe 5-second video clip. Good for quick ideas, prototypes, or just filling gaps in other videos.
Handy for brainstorming or quick assets.
Yep.
And the third?
This one's called Showcase Products. It brings digital avatars into play.
Avatars.
You upload your product image, choose a digital avatar, and the AI generates a video of that avatar interacting with your product, showing it off, basically.
Like a virtual influencer for your product?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
American Eagle tried it, saw a 60% higher return on ad spend compared to their usual assets.
Wow, 60%. That's impressive.
It really is. So all these TikTok tools, they're designed to speed up creating content, cut down on reshoots, encourage experimentation, make it easier to just make stuff for TikTok.
And they're plugging these into other tools.
Yeah, integrating with Adobe Express, WPP Open. Bringing the AI tools right into the workflows marketers already use makes it seamless.
Smart move. Make it easy. Make it indispensable.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've seen the powerful new models like MiniMax and how platforms like Reddit and TikTok are using AI to understand us and create content. But, you know, underneath all this innovation, there's often tension, right? Especially between the giants.
Oh, for sure. And that brings us to probably the most high-profile partnership in AI, OpenAI and Microsoft.
The partnership that really supercharged things a few years ago. What's the latest there? Sound like trouble in paradise.
Well, according to a recent Wall Street Journal report, yeah, it seems cracks are widening. Significantly.
Really?
How so? The report suggests OpenAI executives have actually discussed, get this, publicly accusing Microsoft of anti-competitive behavior.
Whoa.
And even considered pushing for a federal regulatory review of their whole partnership agreement.
That's serious stuff, not just a disagreement. What's the root cause?
It seems to boil down to OpenAI wanting more independence. They're trying to loosen Microsoft's grip specifically on OpenAI's intellectual property and also on the computing resources Microsoft provides.
Which are crucial for OpenAI and
Absolutely
AI.
crucial. And this is tied into OpenAI needing Microsoft's okay to complete its transition to a fully for-profit company. That's a huge step they want to take.
So Microsoft has leverage there. Is there a specific flashpoint?
One major one mentioned is OpenAI's acquisition, about $3 billion, of an AI coding startup called Windsurf.
Oh, okay.
OpenAI apparently doesn't want Microsoft to automatically get access to Windsurf's IP because, well, that IP could potentially boost Microsoft's own AI coding tool, GitHub Copilot.
Ah, so it's direct competition. OpenAI buys a company to enhance its own tech, but the partner, Microsoft, might benefit just as much, maybe even more.
That seems to be the fear, yeah. It's not just about the money, it's about controlling key technology, especially in a super lucrative area like AI-assisted coding.
That makes sense. It's a battle for strategic advantage.
Exactly. And it's not just Windsurf. The report also says OpenAI has been trying, more broadly, to rely less on Microsoft for its cloud computing needs in recent months.
Trying to diversify their infrastructure.
Seems like it. Which raises this really interesting question, right? What happens when a partnership that initially fueled incredible growth starts to feel like it's holding you back?
Yeah, the accelerator becomes a constraint.
For OpenAI, which has always been about pushing the absolute bleeding edge, the concern might be that their partner could end up limiting them or even co-opting their innovations.
It's that classic tension between collaboration and competition, playing out at the highest levels.
And the outcome here, it could really ripple through the whole AI world, couldn't it?
Absolutely. It could affect how other AI companies partner up, how much control the big cloud providers maintain. It could even influence the future of open source versus closed models, like we talked about with MiniMax.
Precisely. If OpenAI feels too restricted, maybe they forge new alliances. Go it alone more aggressively. That shakes things up.
Or if Microsoft tightens its control, does that reinforce the dominance of just a few big players?
It's definitely dynamic we need to watch very, very closely.
So, pulling this all together, we've covered a lot of ground. From open source powerhouses to AI and marketing to these underlying power struggles.
Yeah.
What's the big picture for someone trying to navigate this?
Well, we've clearly seen this push towards more accessible AI, right? MiniMax-M1 shows high power can come with lower costs, challenging the old guard.
Democratization.
Then we saw how platforms are getting really smart about applying AI Reddit, understanding conversations, TikTok generating content, changing how brands connect with us.
Right, making AI practical, embedded.
And finally, that tension. OpenAI and Microsoft. It reminds us that underlying all of the tech are these huge strategic battles that will shape the future development and who controls it.
So the landscape is shifting fast. Huge opportunities, but complex challenges too.
Definitely.
It leaves you wondering, doesn't it? As AI gets woven deeper into everything, how much visibility or control do we as users, as businesses, really have over how our data is used, how these insights are generated, and ultimately who benefits most from this wave of intelligence?
That's the multi-trillion-dollar question, isn't it?
Indeed. Well, that's it for this deep dive. We really hope this gave you that powerful shortcut to being well informed.